The world can't wait for the opening of Epic Universe, as reviews from team members are taking over social media, leaving the House of Mouse nearly powerless in response to all the hype. But what happens if one of the 4 portals in Epic Universe is more popular than the rest? Could we see the implementation of virtual queues, in which guests must register in advance by selecting a future time simply to enter a given portal, be the norm when the new park opens? Let's talk about Universal Studios possibly pulling a Disney here on That Park Place.
There's some stuff going on with Epic Universe that bears discussion, and it's not all going to be sunshine and roses over there at that park. It's not going to be the return of Disney, or maybe it is. It's all up to you. There are some things that we're not crazy about Disney that will be rearing their ugly heads over there at Universal. I think it's not going to affect them that much, but we're going to talk about it. First of all, we're going over here to Universal Parks News Today, a division of WWNT. And here we have Shannon Ace, Epic Universe Worlds to use virtual queues for entry. It's a rumor, but let's talk about what that rumor is based off of. With the Universal Orlando Resort app updated to include Epic Universe, there are increased rumors that the new Parks Worlds will use virtual queues for entry. You're right there. There's a Super Nintendo World. There's a How to Train Your Dragon, Isle of Berk, the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, Ministry of Magic. By the way, I'm really looking forward to whatever the reveal of what the wand zones will be like for Wizarding World because of the wand upgrades. As of publication on Friday morning, hey, that's today as we're recording this, Virtual Line is no longer listed under the world names, but they did have Virtual Line listed under them recently. However, it's still possible the worlds will use virtual lines for entry when demand is high. Super Nintendo World at Japan and Hollywood used virtual queues when it opened and demand was at its peak. Wizarding Worlds of Harry Potter at various Universal theme parks also restricted entry when they initially opened. Except for Celestial Park, each Epic Universe world has a single portal entrance. I'm not actually sure that is 100% accurate. There is one apparent entrance to each one of these areas here. There are exits, which I don't think are one way that you can get out of each one of these lands without going through that portal again. I think they want the appearance to be people flooding into them and then exiting elsewhere. Guys, this has happened in the past, but virtual queue is something that that when it went away for Cosmic Rewind and when it went away for Tiana's Bayou Adventure, people seem to kind of celebrate that. Do you think that Universal is just tweaking their system here? Or do you think we'll actually be seeing virtual queues, at least at the start?
I think it's very likely that we'll see virtual queues at the start. And I say that because we saw that with Universal Studios Hollywood when they opened their version of Super Nintendo World. They were very much into the virtual queuing process and virtual line process because so many people visited that park expecting to get into Super Nintendo World. And that park actually sold out multiple days for months following the opening of Super Nintendo World. So you have a kind of triangle, right? Imagine, if you will, at each corner you have low lines, accessibility, and affordability, right? You can only really have 2 in the theme park world. So obviously, Universal wants to go ahead and not price everybody out when people experience Epic Universe. That's one, and they also want to have people have a good experience, and that's in the process of low lines. Well, then you have to do something with accessibility. And I think this is their way of managing that sheer demand that they're going to experience with these worlds and portals inside Epic Universe. We know that it's going to follow the same design language, let's say, of Super Nintendo World or Wizarding World. And those aren't huge, distinct areas. They're very intimate areas that have great experiences attached to them. And so I could definitely see if one is preferred over the other, there's a lot of demand that they might restrict that in some way.
I would agree with that. I think that the thing that they are most concerned about right now is the big traffic jams that are going to make the experience completely unmanageable. And this is a situation where I think that a virtual queue might actually be warranted because it is a brand new theme park. Like Tiana's Bayou Adventure didn't warrant this, and nor did it warrant it for as long as they had it. But I think the thing here is I don't think you're going to be able to pay extra to get into Super Nintendo World.
Right.
That is, that is, I think, where the line is going to be drawn here. This is not going to be a money-making scheme. I think this is really going to be more about crowd control. Because as we all know, Disney's virtual queue system was a money-making scheme. It was a
right. And
scheme designed to exclude you from popular attractions so they could charge you more. I don't think that's what's going to happen here.
if charging for entry to an area is over the line, let's just point out that Tokyo Disney Sea actually has an official on the books Disney Premier Access pass here.
Mm-hmm.
They charged for entry to Fantasy Springs. At least, there was a virtual queue kind of system here in order to get into the area. But of course, if you paid, you would be much more likely to actually get into that area. I'm just bringing it up as a data point here more than I'm horribly worried that they would do this over at Universal. I think they know that Disney's nickel and diming is not something that they want to do over there at Universal. That's the thing they have. They don't have the same infrastructure that Disney has, and they want to take every competitive advantage that they can get.
Yes.
One thing that comes to mind here is if they decide to do a Halloween Horror Nights style event within Dark Universe over here, they can cut that off. They can make sure that there's restricted access. If they do an event within just one land, then this is whatever system they have in place here can work towards that. I don't know what the stops will be like to prevent people from going through. We do know they have some kind of internal tracking systems to where if it works as it's supposed to work, they will know where every single person by face is in the park digitally. Mm-hmm. So they have that technology. I hate that technology, but they have that technology. So I don't know what enforcement looks like within the park. If they just have one unfortunate cast member who has to stand there at the front and says, "No, you shall not pass," which is always great to hear on your vacation.
I'm a servant of the spirit fire, wielder of the flame of honor.
Well, we do know a couple of things. We do know that, yes, this has been definitely set up in a way that provides for corporate events, and that's something that Universal desperately wants to explore and take even more business away from Disney in that regard. We also know that the Celestial Park area has been long rumored to be an area in which people who haven't necessarily paid for access to Epic Universe can actually walk into after a certain period, maybe like 6 p.m. or so, in order to take advantage of the shopping and dining that's available within that part of the park itself. And then the attractions and the portals would then feature that the facial recognition technology in order to let you pass into those portals and have you experience those if you've actually paid for your ticket there. In lieu of like a city walk, for example, that's external to the park. So I definitely see some regulation when it comes to these portals for sure.
Thanks for watching That Park Plays News. For more information, consider checking out www.thatparkplace.com. And don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and send this out on your favorite social media accounts.